So we put the call out to the Geek Squad, and maybe an AI can make a program like that. No, isn't there these super duper AIs that can write programs?
Yeah, you can literally just put that in ChatGPT and it'll write it for you. Refine it with prompts. It'll write you the whole code.
Okay. Can you do that? You haven't. I don't have the skills to do that.
Um, if you have ChatGPT, I don't have a personal account. I have a enterprise work account. I can't really use it for that. I don't use my work anything connected to Discord. It's all on my personal phone and all that stuff. So I don't have a personal account. But you could do it. Somebody could do it.
So what? Just tell it, write me a code, blah blah blah, to do this.
Yeah, I'm sure you'd have to figure out like what automations or bots are allowed within Discord. Um, Figure out what the type of coding is that those bots use or how to create one. These are all like any questions you would have that you literally just ask it to ChatGPT and then it'll start spitting back answers to you. Like, hey, what would I do to create a bot in Discord? And then it would tell you. It'd give you like step by step.
Yeah,
It'd be
Discord's
like,
got a library called Discord PY, and it's you could tell ChatGPT to look in that library for whatever. You could do it after a minute or something.
Yeah, that would be cool if we can do that.
I mean, I use ChatGPT to write all kinds of stuff, Excel macros, Microsoft applications like Power Automate applications, all different kinds of flows and bots and all that kind of stuff. The thing about it is,
Pineapple while ChatGPT does your work.
Yeah, right. I'm not good enough to make it automate my whole entire job, but yeah, act like I'm here.
Yeah, some guys got busted for that. They had some sort of automatic keyboard thing.
Keystrokes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if my company ever got
Called a keylogger. Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just gonna say, I think if my company ever actually got to the point of literally analyzing everybody's keystrokes, I wouldn't necessarily. I would move on my own, I think. But it is. I mean, it is kind of getting there. A lot of things are being automated away with, like AI generated responses to things. So it's like you'll have companies that are looking at some sort of metric within their employees, and if they don't meet that metric, then they'll have an algorithm that will send an email or whatever to the person who's not meeting that metric, and then ask for like, give me a, if you look into like what Doge is doing with government employees, it's like, hey, give me a rundown of what you do on a weekly basis or whatever, and then it's like you can build those automations in to send those questions to people and then automate the responses to their responses. So like even the person who's responding can use AI for their response. Basically, like, make this professional. This is what I do throughout the week, and it'll send it to somebody that's going to receive it and generate an AI response back to it. And it's just going to be this prompting prompts based on prompts, and it's like people fighting for justification based on algorithms that are so hell bent on just the bottom line, black or white, ones and zeros of how you would run a company. The tangible controllables within a company, to where it becomes so impersonal that I think people are going to eventually get frustrated. And then when you can no longer staff a workforce, then what do you actually have, unless you have the ability to completely, fully automate your whole entire company?
You heard about that company? I shall not mention what country it's in. That is fully automated, and they turn the lights off. They have no need for lights.
I mean, depending on the type of work, you could definitely fully automate companies right now, depending on what service they provide.
Imagine, bro, not one human needed. I forget what they produced in that company. I forgot, to be honest with you. But imagine, no people at all. Not one single human being.
Yeah, they probably don't produce anything. They probably provide some sort of like service, right?
It could be like a computer thing. I think there was some sort of robotic automation. I don't remember. I'll try to look into it.
I mean, that's, if you're thinking about the future and the way that things are going, and you wanted to make money, finding a way to automate something for either yourself as a complete business model of automating some type of service that's being sold to somebody who hasn't caught up to that curve or something like that isn't necessarily a bad short-term model to be ahead of the curve and maybe make some money with minimal input and low expense. I just wouldn't know where to start with that. Because you have to see the need, right, to be able to fulfill that need, figure out what that niche is.
Yeah, that's what all innovation and what really America was built on, right? You find the niche, you fill it, and you become a millionaire. But now, now like AI is doing a lot of this stuff. It's kind of scary. AI and robotics, man. I don't know what kind of future we're looking at.
Yeah, the scary part about it is not necessarily the automation itself, it's the fact that the biggest adopters and movers and shakers have consolidated so much to where they're going to put out of business anybody that's trying to compete because they're so far out of the curve as far as perfecting automations and eliminating, like slowly eliminating their workforce as far as people are concerned.
Yeah, check out what I just posted. I found one of those factories. It's freaking scary, man. It's Terminator stuff.
Because people are a sucker for convenience, right? I mean, that's literally what it's about. People are a sucker for convenience. Why do you think everybody uses Amazon? Amazon was nothing. Amazon sold books online. That's it. When they originally started.
Yep, we're lazy individuals by design. Like the easiest we can make it for ourselves, that's what we do.
Yeah, we got to the point where it's like, oh, yeah, I'm too lazy to drive the half a mile up the street to get my prescription through the drive-through. So I'm just going to go ahead and have Amazon start delivering my prescriptions. So now Amazon's going to start being the biggest drug dealer. I want it to
Yeah.
come to my door.
And I'm thinking now, what started it all, right? I'm playing it back in my head as you were saying that. I think was it the remote control, the TV remote that made us lazy slobs?
I would
Probably.
say it was television was probably the biggest leap forward in starting that, right? I feel like television made people lazy. At least the radio, people had the radio on while they were doing things. Very rare, like occasionally when radio shows would come on, maybe families would sit around the radio, but for a short period of time and listen to the radio. But it was just listening. You're interacting still with your family while you were listening to a radio show. So I'd say
So
probably
cars.
television is probably the biggest factor there. Yeah.
Cars. Blame it on cars.
Lightning McQueen, it's his fault.
All vehicles, man.
Imagine having to get up off your seat and turn the channel. Now, how inconvenient is that, right?
I mean, that was my childhood, but yeah, no, yeah.
I forget that. Yeah, I had to walk all the way to school or having to ride in a horse and buggy.
Y'all know how
Mount
they
the
have.
horse. Had to mount the horse. Make sure you ain't shitting all over the place.
Now smartwatches will track your every movement to the couch, to back and forth to the TV. So get some extra steps in. Some lunges.
All you gotta know is like, check this out. Look how freaking easy we are, like, and lazy we are. Right? We have a smartphone in our hands, right? Why the heck would you buy a smartwatch? Right? What it's so hard for you to grab your phone. You need a watch there. You know what I'm saying? It will just evolve. Next, it's going to be a chip in the brain, right? I mean, we all know where this is heading, right? I hope not, but
Yeah, I mean, people have adopted that stuff so quickly. The smartwatch, right? We went from phone to now phone and watch. Soon it'll just be watch. Then it'll just be what? Subdermal? Under your skin?
yeah, holographic. It's under your skin. Why would you? You don't have to power it. It runs off your heartbeat, or who the heck knows what they're going to come up with, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's always sold as the good aspects of it, right? There's a good aspect of, to an extent, the smartwatch. If people need monitoring of their heart rate or blood pressure or something like that, it's not necessarily a bad device to have if you needed that monitoring on a regular basis. And it does seem to get some people motivated to be more active, right? Like, oh, I closed out my fitness rings because I got 10,000 steps, or I did X, Y, and Z. So on the surface, it seems good, right? There's some good aspects to it, but what is it doing, right? What is it getting us used to? What is it eliminating? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like a motivation factor. I can understand that, yeah. But this implant stuff like that's they did it already, right? The Tesla dude, Elon Musk. So, and that guy has it in his brain, and he's a gamer, and apparently you stand no chance against him. He has this auto target thing, and like even almost before he thinks it, the crosshair is on the target. So it's like a normal human cannot compete with him. Now keep in mind he's a quadriplegic in a wheelchair.
Yeah. I don't know. I just remember what the plot of Terminator. People get wiped out. FYI.
Yeah, we're a long way off, but we are going to be replaced by machines. This is coming, and I don't see how the population is going to handle that. I mean, honestly, I see a tech war coming up if we don't have a civilization war before that. But yeah, I don't see how all these people are going to be sustained their jobs while these robots are taking over their jobs. Then there's talk of the universal UI and all that stuff, right? So yeah, that's a whole another false utopia. I don't know if we want to get into that.
There's this restaurant that I went to, and there's an AI robot that it doesn't walk around. It's like on wheels, and it goes to the table. It hasn't replaced all the waiters and waitresses, but there are a few of them that operate pretty well.
You mean it brings you the food and stuff?
Yeah, it brings you the food, yeah, and then you just grab the food from. It's like a little cart on wheels that it just goes to your table, and then that's your food there.
I think I've seen those in Japan.
Yeah, this was a Chinese restaurant that I was at.
Was a Chinese restaurant, huh? Be careful how you use that word.
Well, the funny thing is, right? All these automations and all that kind of stuff. The first impact you're going to see in a lot of these robotics is a lot of it is reactionary towards people's inability to understand basic economics and think that increasing a minimum wage is actually benefiting poor people. And what you see is that it's actually a net benefit for companies to find ways to eliminate the lowest wage workers that they have, right? Because they're the least skilled. So if they're the least skilled, they're the easiest to replace with simple technologies, which is why you're starting to see you go into a fast food restaurant and you type your order into a screen. There's no longer 3 people at the counter ready to take your order. And the more we continue down that path, the less there's going to be people in the back actually cooking the meals. It's going to be a robot that cooks the meal based on what you type into the screen in the front, right? All of these jobs are being replaced due to increased cost for employees. Typically, labor is one of the highest costs for a business. It's also one of the largest liabilities a business has as well.
They have a pizza machine now. You go to the machine, you type in what you want, toppings and everything, it makes a fucking pizza. I can only imagine how bad that must be.
Yeah, there's a store I go to. There used to be 4 cashiers. When I went the other day, cashiers were gone. There's these auto express things like you check your own items, and there was just one person there, this teenager, explaining them how the machine worked to the older folk that didn't know how to do it. So that's 4 jobs eliminated to 1.
And everyone's going, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah. Now those 3 people that lost their jobs, okay, they're gonna find work somewhere else, right? But multiply that by 10 by orders, and
Yeah.
give a couple of orders of magnitude after that. Yeah.
That's what they're doing at places like Walmart and stuff like that. Even my normal grocery store at the street at Publix, they've got 4 or 5 6 self-checkout things, right? So you're eliminating the need for people, and usually those people that are checking people out are one of the lowest paid individuals at the store. So good thing we increased the minimum wage to $15 an hour so that people have a living wage so that they can survive, so that the most unskilled individuals, whether it be because reasons, right? They're just not getting into the workforce, they're young kids, or they're adults that lack the mental comprehension to have a higher skilled job, whatever the case may be, you are eliminating those jobs first when you increase the minimum wage to a point to where it's advantageous for companies to spend money that in the long term will save them over the benefit of a low skilled worker.
That's a good point, which I didn't think of, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's a good point. But I think in the long run, don't you think that they're going to do it anyways, regardless? Because the automation is going to become so cheap, and like you said, the liability of the bone and flesh worker, shall we call them that, will outweigh like the finance will swing to the robot side.
I mean, sure, but it's kind of a what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of scenario. But it seems as though it is trending. I know correlation isn't always causation, but it seems as though the more the minimum wage increases, the more the minimum input jobs are being eliminated by automation.
But couldn't you, like, you think about like an automatic bread maker? It's a gimmick at first that you think, oh wow, and then after a while you just think, this is absolute fucking shit.
That's good until you got to clean it, see. That's when you hate it.
Wow, they're most probably worse than kids. They always want something. You got to do this, you got to do that. They don't. Sometimes they turn off. They don't cook the bread. You take it out as a lump of sludge. It's cheaper to go to a good baker, buy the bread, it's done, it's perfect. What more do you want?
We want cheap and convenient. That's what the world has come to, cheap and convenient.
That's it, cheap and convenient. That is the current.
Well, didn't it start out
strategy model?
Disposable.
Well, didn't it start out like to be efficient, right? Because in a way, right, we want to be efficient, but sometimes the profits or greediness came out of it too, right?
Yeah, but efficiency can also, it doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, right? You take, for instance, Henry Ford's efficiency model gave us the ability to mass produce and provide vehicles to the common person, right? Meaning people that weren't rich could afford a automobile because it could be manufactured cheaper. The cost of a hamburger and fries was reduced by Ray Kroc when he implemented the efficiency system that the McDonald brothers were using and started to franchise it. Right, so that actually produced cheaper food over a period of time. So efficiency isn't necessarily the only factor there, right? I don't think.
It's not efficiency.
So can we talk about also the irony that Ray Kroc, the reason he met the McDonald brothers is because the McDonald brothers were buying like 30 of his shake machines, and the fact that Ray Kroc created the McDonald's corporation that we know today, and if you go to a McDonald's, 99% of the time the shake machine is going to be broken. Can we find some irony in that? Or is it just me? I don't know.
Can I just ask Siak to get his kid away from that stove? I think he touched it.
He's dangling him over the stove right now.
I'm actually standing outside under a tree in the rain, and he's tired of me standing still.
Way to go, whoever that was. Congratulations.
That was a hell of a callback.
But it's not efficiency that destroyed or made this the way it is. I would
No,
say
of course not. I'm just saying, the concept of being inconvenience, right? Because we try to think of efficiency to make something faster or more convenient for us. But I think the greed kind of spoiled it a little bit to make more money or more profit off of something that's efficient. Like you said, the whole ice cream stuff, right? To make ice cream efficiently, but at the same time, to break down time to time to make profit or whatever reason they want to do it for.
It hasn't to do with making it efficient or something or another, because you can use the proper ingredients and learn how to create it efficiently. It just means that you are reducing unnecessary labor in whatever you are, let's say, creating. Like if you're creating ice cream and you're having a very lengthy process with a lot of unnecessary doings, just creating, you're just making the process more effective so you can do more things. So you can be more potent and powerful. Like if you're out chopping woods, it wouldn't be effective to keep using a sharp rock that you hammer with another one when we have now built an axe. Just use axe. So,
well, if you take like maybe, I don't know, you take 6 hours to make ice cream, and it may only take me 30 minutes to make ice cream, maybe I have more of a line. But of course, my quality is less than the ice cream that you make. But of course, mine's more efficient.
No, efficiency doesn't necessarily have to do with quality, but you can make a certain quality efficient to make. Like, you can vacuum your vacuum.
It was actually, some people would say it's like a controller thing, but honestly, like this existed, and this is kind of where I align with the Bible in that like man is somewhat corrupted, from the get go, because man is going to press buttons. If they see an opening, they're going to take it. And only after the fact, when they learn like the wisdom of having a power, are they going to go, oh wow, maybe I shouldn't have done this, that, or whatever, through experience. And,
yeah, but I don't think.
So I think it was what I'm trying to say is that it's a natural thing. I think that with these advancements, it was a natural process that people were seeking to one up each other into the point of where we're at today. Like it might have been manipulated slightly, but the innate quality is there, like without manipulation.
Well, the innate quality to seek an adventure is there, but that's not corruption. Like the child who wants to climb the stairs, it's really questing in danger here, but it wants to become powerful. So it's walking up the stairs because it's exercising to be powerful. And it's walking up the stairs is like a constant reminder that actually it's building the muscle.
So you're saying the transportation of goods that kind of pushed forward, because I think there's trade wars, right, too, as well, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. So like with the digital communication, like through wires, and with that and industrialization of motors, and like trains, like I think honestly the communication thing was what increased. I mean, it's a little bit of both, right? But I really think the communication thing is a big thing, because as soon as you can communicate a demand instantly across, like, I don't know, an ocean, that there's only going to be more demand for that, where people are going to, okay, well, did he say yes? Or like, okay, we have this much of this product. Do they want this? They want this. Suddenly you've got like 1,000 orders for something you only have 500 of. You're like, oh, I got to double my output. And then someone else is like, oh, you guys have that? Suddenly there's market competition, and you're like, oh, wow, my business grew, 1,000 times in like a week. Now, maybe it wasn't that fast, right? But what I'm trying to say is that when you can communicate to the whole world, I think that's what created the desire. And, obviously man has this desire for exploration and stuff, but also exploration and venture. So like if you can grow your business 1,000 times a month, a week, a year, that's exciting just the same way as like traveling would be, right? It's like, oh, wow, I'm on this venture of growing this amazing thing that people are going to love, and it's going to take care of my family and stuff like that. So the desire started with the communication, but also was accelerated by industrialization, putting the power of travel into the hands of the common man.
But even through the communication, they can create a bluff, right? Air quotes, lying. And that kind of makes, like you're saying, the corrupt way of man, that, they can create bluffs as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, they've always created bluffs, but yes. Yeah.
Okay, well, there is a quite large distinction between
War II.
There's a big difference to a child and someone who is enacting on desire because they have impulse control, or they lack impulse control. Like a child who investigates isn't corrupt, but someone lacking impulse control who goes into situations in order to supposedly get an experience, which easily can become an excuse as to why one goes into them to begin with, is, well, something very different.
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, obviously, there's going to be like corrupt people that but then there's going to be corrupt people that you don't know that
Well,
perhaps have had a standing in corruption and controlling things for a long time.
well, of course, our people, they will do everything they can to get what they want, right? Regardless of moral action or not, they're going to get what they want, and we call
Yeah,
it corruption.
So look at what they want and why they want it. Already they are acting out of corruption. A child doesn't do the same thing. Although a child,
Why are we talking about the child?
because it's really important, because you're saying, or there was a saying that the human being is corrupt from the get-go. So
No, I'm saying that like the curiosity is going to basically they're tapping into something that we already have, just like amplifying it.
Okay, this is a little vague for me now. Could you detail it further?
I'm sorry. Should I say the child?
Yeah, it's like I never played guns. Have you played guns before, Riggs? Like when you look at pew pew, you're dead. No, you're dead. I shot you.
Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, then I don't know. Siak is gonna go. Well, we've been manipulated in a way to act this way, but I don't know. It's like war. Is it something within us that we do strive for violence?
No, we don't strive for violence.
Oh, dude. Sometimes some people do, man. Some people do. I knew a kid that was never beat, never mistreated, never had like some weird influence. That man was the devil. That man was the devil. He just had evil eyes. You ever seen people like that? Just have evil eyes, and they're gonna do something bad.
Yeah,
they're in jail right now.
I call those like crazy eyes.
Yes, crazy eyes, bro. This guy. Like, I didn't even want. My mom was friends with his mom, and we'd go over and I'd have to play with him or like go hang out with him in his room. And I was like, dude, I just wanted to run away. I was like, this guy's fucking nuts. and other than that,
his parents probably traded. His parents probably treated him like a.
No, dude. No. I knew the rest of the family. They were cool. Everybody was really cool. It was just this kid had like, dude, even the shape of his forehead, like his fucking eyes. I'm just telling you, it was something about that dude, man. Something about that dude. It had nothing to do with anyone else. It was all just, he was always scheming, always like evil something. He would do shit to his own family. Like, he was like a fucking terror. He was just a terror.
Damien from the Omen movies.
I'm just telling you, bro. Some evil people out there, bro. And it goes unprovoked. Like, they're just out there.
Well, there is this thought about that you can inherit stuff, but who am I to say? But
what if the water was poisoned and his development was in a weird place and it caused stress on the child in utero, right? And just developed into a mean being or something. But you can't like influence every gestation. Like, you can't baby a baby 100%, otherwise they won't be their own being. Whenever you shelter someone, it hurts them more than helps them. So like, to some degree, it's like you can't control all variables. It's nature and nurture no matter what, bro. And no matter how much you control it, there's still going to be evil shit out there, because the same way that goodness finds a way, evil finds a way. Because every time you up the level of goodness, you're lowering the bar for evil.
Well, it does sure feel like that if you...
It's just a total slider. It's a slider scale. It's just totally true.
Well, because of course that's why I don't like the word evil. I like to use violence, right? Because there is violence in the world, right? Not use violence. Let's all be friendly, right? But at the same time, we create competition, like you're saying. There's competition out there. I want to be first, but there are people that are willing to do whatever they need to do to be there first, or just to get that thing.
But you're mistaking the environment for the being, like, because people are living in said environment in which disease runs rampant doesn't mean that it's natural. Obviously they are getting in contact with the environment. And we are now talking about the effects of such an environment.
Yeah, I don't think we're upping the lowering the bar for evil. I think we are making evil more jealous and more rabid when you up the level of goodness. I think that's what's going on. And therefore, evil will try to do anything to get attention.
Look, anytime
you're personifying evil and you're attempting to justify heinous acts.
Hold on. Anytime you add more parts to the construction, you have more points of failure. Anytime you make something more complex with more parts, more design and stuff, you're making things like there's more parts for failure, because everything is essentially necessary for the function of something. So if you're creating a function that is high moral and high good, then you're going to have more points of failure, which lowers the bar for evil, and things that could fail.
Actually, it's not that way. It's that goodness is quite, or if not just simple, and evil is a disillusionment from what's simple. I
don't know. I agree.
It's association from something that's very just common sense.
I agree. It's simple. The problem is that people, whenever they if you lean too much into goodness, they overcomplicate goodness by adding more things. Like, for example, you're not good if you don't call me by my pronouns. And suddenly, what's the end of goodness? Like, what does it just never end? How much more good can we make it? You know what I mean? And then you get what is essentially spoiling, where you start focusing on shit that's not, whether good or bad. It's just trying to appeal to people's preferences.
I get all of that, and it's really a sad circumstance that can be created. But really, that comes from acting and not actual genuine goodness.
Yeah, but goodness has to come from a preference. And if you go against someone's preference, suddenly they don't think you're good, and they still get to vote. They still get a vote on what is good.
Preference is
because they have feelings. So like, goodness is not like when people tell me that they live their life by whatever makes them happy. That's a person devoid of duties. That is somebody who isn't willing to put down the game or put down a desire and really put their head to the grindstone because they're too busy trying to think, okay, what kind of Starbucks do I want today? You know, like they're not thinking in ways that they can push themselves. They're thinking in ways they can cater to their preference.
Now, preference is like the lazy aspect we spoke about earlier, and preference is synonymous with in this circumstance, or we could say with likeness or desire. Preference isn't goodness at all. What I prefer could be something overt, something good, which means that it isn't good. Preference is not, like, I'm not going to repeat myself. Why do you say it's preference?
Because ultimately, there is such a thing as an objective good or bad, in my opinion. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a moral framework at all. It would just be totally subjective. And then suddenly you wouldn't be able to tell me if something's good or bad because I could just change the definition on you. You know what I mean? So I think that good and bad, like there is such a thing as objective, but there is also such a thing as subjective. And when you push too far beyond like the objective stuff, then people still have a vote because you can't tell me that my opinion doesn't matter. Otherwise, you'd be breaking your own rule.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, but the problem is that subjective and objective has been made into a false dichotomy. So objective is a shadow word for what.
Well, how do you define good and bad then? How do you define good and bad then? Because you have to include people and their opinion into that calculation. There is such a thing as objective, like truth or good or bad, but it's not exclusive. There are also subjective takes, and because you have to include people into your calculation, then you can't solely accept objective truths. You just can't. Okay, well, you interrupted me before I made a point. Objective is simply a shadow word for what is, reality as is. But it is created into a false dichotomy by philosophy, which has a burden of proof. I'll say that. So if objective is what is or reality as it is, subjective is an interpretational lens of what is, meaning your idea of the thing, meaning actually your imagination of the thing, or even your belief of the thing, even your fact of the thing. But neither of those is the thing itself. It's just your attempt to grasp or cope with the thing itself, that which is. So you can have an idea or a framework or a concept or a model or whatever, an interpretation of the thing, but it's not the thing itself. And obviously you are justified in having said thing, for the very notion that you have it means that you don't know what the thing is itself. Meaning that by having an idea or imagination or whatever of the thing means that you're desiring to want to know what the thing is in of itself, meaning you are wanting to be closer to what is truth than to just actually, than to something else, which is to, not to be caring for it at all. So, you can have your subjective idea of the thing, but it's not the thing itself.
Well, that's what sometimes when it has to add more context, right? Like, when you say good or bad, we want more context. Like, what is that, right? That's why sometimes I use the word violence, right? Well, violence has like the connotation that it's a bad, I did violence, but you want more context, what I did, to kind of judge or put a label, was it good or bad, what I did.
Okay, so now, Riggs, see this, which is, the thing in itself is goodness. Your subjective interpretation can vary. You can say that goodness is drinking coffee in the morning. And then we could know for a fact that maybe coffee depletes your system of some things, and perhaps it isn't so good to drink it. But you created a situational, you put goodness on a situation, and coffee is part of that environment. Maybe coffee is the main actor in said environment. So you are creating a condition on the coffee and calling it good. And there you have your subjective frame.
Yeah, well, the moderation is the key, right, for everything, right? I mean, if when you walk outside of your whatever you live, I mean, you're killing bugs, you're stepping on ants, you're causing problems, But should you go outside your house? Yes, you need to get to work. I mean, just the fact of you existing, you're changing your environment for good and bad, right? But you can't look at it through that lens. It's kind of strange to do that. All right. The thing is that ultimately, good is not lowering the bar for evil. It's just that evil is always jealous of good. And evil is going to try to find a way to destroy good. That's all that's happening, always.
Evil is simply sad because it has a difficulty with knowing good, because it recognizes that it has a wound that it doesn't understand how to treat. So when looking at good and knowing that it could be better than, well, itself a manipulative and deceitful thing, which it easily can turn into, it destroys the thing in a childish, if I can't have that, no one can, resentful statement, and it goes on to do vile things. It doesn't mean that
you're premeditating evil too much, man. So sometimes evil is just, there's a bug, I'm going to squash it, and that bug could be you. It has doesn't require thinking. It just requires acting.
That just means you're unaware of your action. Doesn't mean that.
I don't know. I think they know exactly what squashing a bug is. They just do it anyway.
Okay. Well.
Right. It's like
I don't think they are unaware.
Like you're talking about construction, right? I'm going to make this building, but I know people are going to die in this building. But, I'm still going to build it anyway, regardless of the death.
Yeah, this is not an opinion of anybody on the server, anybody who's listening.
You don't build what? Of course, you don't build a building because it's going to squash a person. You build a building or a house to home someone or something else.
No, like a big old skyscraper, right? People are gonna die. Fall or get squished, injury, right? We don't call that evil.
Okay, this is hyperbole. Okay, Elena.
Well, it's saying squashing a bug, right? I don't know if you call that evil. I don't know. I don't know where's it going with.
Well, you see, if you start to personify the bug, then you create a subjective interpretational lens, and suddenly you can call it evil.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's like we got what's that company that is buying all the homes, and we call it evil because it's buying all the homes up. What was it Rock or something like that? BlackRock. Some people agree that it's an evil company.
Well, people agree that it's an evil company because it's so big. It's simply that. Whenever something becomes very popular, again, it draws in evil people or evil motives or evil perceptions and so on and so forth. So the reason why BlackRock has conspiracy theories around it is because it's so big and popular. It's the same thing with the government. The reason why people are so many conspiracy theories around the government is because the government is what takes care of the people. It's popular. We vote. It's good. But evil is going to say, I don't like them, and they push lies about the deep state and all this kind of nonsense.
It's very
That's not nonsense at all. What are you on about? Nonsense.
No. There's no such thing as deep state. I mean, Doge has proved there's no such thing as deep state.
Here we go.
So it's done. So deep
the
state.
de facto president Elon Musk has said it so. So I guess that's it then.
Yeah. I mean, deep state. If there was a deep state, Doge wouldn't be able to dismantle the government.
Do you know history? Do you know the French Revolution, my friend? Freemasons, the Jews were behind these revolutions.
No, the people. It's the people. The people uprose and attacked the government.
Right.
See, Doge is the government. You see, so it's not the people, right? It's Doge. So Doge is in there dismantling the people, and if the people were deep state, Doge would not be able to do what he's doing.
So secret societies don't exist. Knights of Malta, they don't exist.
Yeah, that's all nonsense.
They don't exist. Is that your claim?
Yeah, exactly. Secret societies and Masons and all these things about people who are so nefariously choosing presidents and kings and all this. All of that is propaganda.
And non-smoking Jamaicans.
No, they're smoking Jamaicans. They're smoking
Jamaicans. They're going to have a rude awakening one day.
They're smoking Jamaicans. Yo, I've been hearing this since I was born about deep states and Freemasons, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. I've been hearing Microsoft. I've been hearing about this since I was born.
Yeah, Microsoft isn't real.
And none of it is true. No conspiracy theory has come to pass since I've been hearing about conspiracy.
Hey, so real quick, have you looked at the back of the American dollar bill? Have you seen all the free? Yeah. So what's on the dollar bill? What are all the symbols?
I can name them: prosperity, work, history, caring, unity.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Freemasonic connection? Right. All the Freemasonic symbols all over the American dollar bill?
Yeah. Draw a Freemasonic to our problems. Go.
Sounds like we got a Mason in the house. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, hey, the person who's talking about it. Tell us one thing on the back of the dollar that has harmed your life. Go.
So no conspiracy theory has ever come true, is that what you said?
None, not one.
Okay, cool. So let me ask you a question. Do you believe that 19 hijackers boarded planes and flew them, 2 of them into the World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon, and another one crashed over Shanksville, Pennsylvania? Do you believe that?
No. Tell me. Hold on. Tell me what disproved that. Go ahead.
Dude, he asked you a question. You're going to have to engage in good faith. You're going to have to engage in good faith or we're going to remove you from the conversation. He asked you a question. Don't play games and ask some other thing. He just asked you a question. Do you believe in that official story of 9/11?
It's not a believe. The facts
Could you just answer the question, yes or no?
Okay, it's not a believe, but yes. Since you want to use believe, yes.
Thank you for the yes. Go ahead, Napalm.
Yeah, so cool. So you believe in the conspiracy theory that 19 hijackers hijacked planes, flew 2 of them into the World Trade Center. So conspiracy theories do happen. They can happen. You believe in one.
No, brother, the conspiracy theory is that they didn't.
Oh, so 19 hijackers did not conspire? There was no theory that they had a conspiracy to commit these crimes?
No, conspiracy and conspiracy theories are different. Conspiracy is the planning. Conspiracy theory is a lie.
What do you mean? Conspiracy theory is just a lie? So if I tell a lie, that's a conspiracy theory?
Yes. So you see, conspiracy, meaning you're planning for an action. There was a conspiracy to take down the towers. That has been proven and locked in. Conspiracy theory is they were not doing that. It was an inside job.
Oh, you just think the one that you believe to be true is a fact, so therefore it's not a theory. Is that what you're saying?
The evidence says prove the conspiracy to take down. The evidence.
Because you've been convinced that evidence.
The evidence proved that people wanted to take down towers with airplanes. The conspiracy theory is that George Bush did it.
No, there's many different other theories as to what took place. You just adhere to one specific one that you don't think is a theory, that you think is factual. So what is the full thing that took place on whatever's been written in the 9/11 Commission report? I'm assuming you've read it, and you think that everything in there is just factual information. So therefore, that confirms that what has been put forth in there is fact, and anything that disagrees with that is theory. Is that your contention?
Everything that disagrees with the Commission report right, is from unofficial sources, people who feels. Hold on, wait. Feelings. The commission report are people who interacted with the information and the evidence. For example, there are pieces of the plane that was found, right? The structure of the buildings failed because of the heat, right? People. Hold on. One more. I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you one more.
Theory.
I'm going to one more. They have communication between the assailants and their leaders who plotted it and did it. They have all of the communication from them, right? That is what the commission has.
Cool.
You know,
hey,
you have
point.
feelings. You have people who feel it's George Bush.
So can you point me in the direction of those communications?
Yes, I will point you to the 9/11 Commission. All of the documents.
I've read the book.
All of the documents. All of the evidence.
Just say hold on,
but
when you speak forever. You can't just say hold on. Okay, you spoke forever. So can you point me in the direction of the original copies of the communications you claim that took place, and can you validate that those people within those communications are who you claim that they are? Otherwise, you just have a cool conspiracy theory.
Okay, all right. Okay, I think the mods are getting a little bit
Bro, here's the thing, dude. Dude, I had to mute you so he could even speak. Dude, when you come in here, like if you talk about like fouls, like in like basketball, or like you get a penalty or whatever, dude, you come in and just like everything you do is a foul and a penalty. So, dude, like you interrupt, you ad hom, you do condescending, you do bad faith. Like it's a whole slew of things. You've been doing it for weeks. That's why you get modded every time, and then you get modded for that, and then you say you're being censored. That's completely false. It's like if you have a dinner party and you have a rule like, hey, don't shit on my floor, and somebody comes every day and shits on your floor, and then you're like, please leave my house, and they're like, oh, you're censoring me. You're not letting me eat dinner. Yeah, of course, because you're shitting on the floor. So stop shitting on the floor, interrupting, doing all this stuff, and you'll never be modded once. But you interrupt and you do all these games. So I had to temporarily mute you just so he could speak. So if you could figure out how a conversation goes back and forth, respectful, cordial, we could hear what you say, we could hear what the other side says, and it could be edifying and productive. Otherwise, you seem to want to create chaos and trigger emotions and interrupt and do all these bizarre, condescending games that end up causing issues. So I'm just informing you on the issue. I'll unmute you now. Hopefully we'll never have to mute you again, and you can have good, solid conversations. Good luck.
Yo, honestly, Gio, there's really nothing edifying with just listening to whatever the official story says, no matter what the subject is correct information. Nobody's ever lied. Everything is always up and up. You know, there's nothing edifying in conversations like that, because everybody just has these logical fallacies of appeal to authority and appeal to consensus, and nobody ever actually wants to back any of that up. They just point to, look at these people. These people were involved in the investigation. This is what they tell me, therefore it's true. And I got to get on a work call, so I'm not interested in engaging, to be honest.
Well, thank you very much, brother. And I do sympathize. Sorry, not sympathize. I empathize with how we perceive people who are experts, right? You know, because people who are experts, they are usually in places where we're not. Is what I'm saying. Like, and they have to be to protect their identity, protect their sources and their methods, right?
Yep.
You and I
disagree with the fact that people can be experts in certain things, particularly subject matter experts, but even those people can be incorrect. And to just appeal blindly to their credentials is just fallacious reasoning. And no offense, but I don't have the time nor the patience to deal with fallacious reasoning.
No, but okay. Let me not use your words, because that might make people a little bit upset. Let me just say again, there are people who are working to protect you, just like your parents. Your parents are doing things around your house as children that you're not aware of to protect you. You understand me? So when they tell you something, you know, you have to follow along, because you trust them. They're the experts. It's the same thing in your government, right? So we have security, the Department of Justice, Department of Education, you know, all these different departments who hire the best of the best, who are educated in your coveted institutions.
That's just patently false and incorrect information. You're trying to assert as though the government is your daddy, is your mommy, is your parent that's just out there to look out for you and to do good, when we know dang well that there are people within government who act solely based on their own for their own purposes, to become rich, to just have a job. There is no big daddy government that's just out there to ensure that you as a citizen is just taken care of, and everything that they do is completely benevolent. The fact that you even lay it out that way is hilarious, especially in the age of information, where you have the internet, you have the ability to communicate to other people, you have the ability to communicate to people that might be experts within specific subjects, but you would actually just appeal to some other type of authority before even asking somebody whether or not they have an expertise in something. I find it quite laughable, and I do have to get on a work call in 2 minutes. So yeah, pointless conversation to move forward from here from my standpoint. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, again, you do not have any information that refutes what the experts have said, and that is why I keep saying to you that there are no conspiracy theories that have been proven. The conspiracy theory was that it was an inside job. There is no evidence of inside jobs. I only hear
What about
feelings.
the building that collapsed that didn't get hit by an airplane?
Right, the debris. Go back and read the information. The debris is what caused the collapse.
So it collapsed
of the
after
third
false
building.
speed because of debris.
Yeah, yes.
You realize that's just retarded. You realize that, right?
Oh, really? Okay. So you're an infrastructure. You're a structural engineer, right?
There's many structural engineers that say it's completely impossible. The official story is completely impossible. So what
There-
about them? You're just going to discount them? Say, oh,
there-
those experts don't know what they're talking about. Are
there
you an
are-
expert?
Yes.
So you're a structural engineer?
Yeah, I've studied structural. I did mechanical engineering and so on. There are no official structural
There's a lot.
engineers
There's a
that
lot.
say that that build that third building fell because of some kind of nefarious reasons. Now, you understand me? So
Yeah, it's almost every single one that looks into it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Name some official structural engineers that said that that was an inside job of some sort that buildings were brought down.
Just look into Richard Gage.
Okay, so Richard
Architects
Gage
and engineers for 9/11 truth.
Okay,
there's many. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I know of those people. Those people are communicators. They're not actual engineers. They're people who work in the field.
Yeah, so you just discount anybody that goes against the official story. You're acting like the government doesn't lie. You realize everything you say is not credible after that. Like you're saying the government doesn't lie, and then you're trying to like tell people things. You just sound ridiculous.
The people that have everything to gain from lying don't lie. Listen to yourself, man. You sound like a mong. Sorry, you just do. There's over, what was it, over 3,500 architects that signed that petition, right? I'm pretty sure the architects and engineers. I could look it up, but you just sound silly, dude. Honestly.
Yeah, all of a sudden the experts don't know what they're talking about.
But that's the thing.
Well, always listen to
those
experts.
experts suddenly was, they had a moment of integrity, let's just say, and they decided to actually tell the truth. Well, there'd be all kinds of ramifications. But I can tell you what will definitely happen. They will be defamed. That's how the game works.
That's what happened with all the medical doctors that talked about how COVID's a scam. A lot of them lost their licenses.
Yep. Well, they're not qualified anyway. Suddenly they're not experts anymore.
Yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. There are no official architects and structural engineers on record saying that that building was brought down for any other reason except the debris from the other buildings. There are none.
That's just not true. Not true.
Yes, brother, please provide evidence.
Nothing you say is true, dude.
Provide evidence. Everything I've said is factual. The buildings was brought down by terrorists.
No, it's not.
That was organized by bin Laden. Those terrorists are people who are from overseas.
Okay.
They're from Saudi Arabia. That's where they did their operations. Their operations was based also in Afghanistan. They were here. They trained as pilots. They flew those planes into the building. That is the information and the evidence that you can see, and you can look it up. There are all other pieces of information that refute that are made up opinions and feelings because you don't trust the government. And that, my friend, not trusting the government is not evidence. Thank you.
Hey, bro, I just want to know why they didn't make the planes, the material from the plane, out of the same material that they made the passport out of, because the passport was the only thing that didn't get destroyed. They should have made everything out of the passport material.
Before you ask him a question, listen to his claim about what our claim was, which was that. Could you repeat the very last sentence, Mr. Timer Stars, which for some reason feels like I've spoken with you before, and this might be your third alt account or something?
No,
He's got at least five. He's got at least 5 accounts. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. I like the conversation. That's why I come back, and I do not come here to mess up your information. I don't. I am just somebody who has another view, and that's it. If you came into my space with another view, I would not chastise you, disparage you, and not engage with you. I would keep going until we can come to consensus. We have fun, and goodbye.
Do you have any unique views?
I do have.
Can you share one of your views?
Okay, sorry for just interrupting. Is that why you created? Is that why you joined the server today, and now you're here propaganda preaching?
No, I have a space. I have a space where I engage with flat earthers all the time,
Okay, so
and I do not mute them. Everybody talk. Passions get high. We calm things down. We keep going, right? And I do not disrespect
you wouldn't
them
have any without the people.
So what are
who
you now? Are
actually
you
don't
attacking?
believe.
Sorry again. Are you now attacking?
Hey, Dio, why does he keep getting interrupted?
Your own
I
community?
hear a lot of people interrupting this guy. I don't see anybody else moderating for him.
I'm getting interrupted.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my question to be answered. You guys want to just
we
keep
can go to
going
that.
forward? Do you have any unique
beliefs?
views?
Anything that goes against like the official narrative or what the government says, like any conspiracies, do you?
I think my question was better.
All right.
Do you have any unique views? Or can we just Google you?
No, I do have unique views. Yes, I do.
Yeah, share one, please.
Yeah, my unique view is evidentiary based, right?
And
So,
what
for
is
example, when I ran my Cavendish experiment, I saw mass attracting mass. My unique view is that mass attracts mass, and that's it.
Oh, this guy's hilarious.
Yeah, just ban him. He's fucking done.
Hey, Timer, why
We
doesn't
can just Google you, bro?
Is that what
We
we
can
do here
Google
now?
you. You're useless.
Wait a second. Can I speak for a second? Is that what we do here now?
How is that unique?
We just ban people?
He's trolling. He's trolling.
Is that what we do here now?
Really trolling.
Is that what this server's turned into? We just ban people because he did a Cavendish experiment?
He's making multiple accounts to get back in. He's not bringing anything unique to the table, and he's trolling us. Like he's like, no point is he good faith?
Is that what you've come to, B-Ball? Taking one phrase
but I mean, I thought
and making some, and then interrupting me while I'm speaking. That was the plan for you. That was the thing that was really going to be the key thing while I was in the middle of speaking. So is that what you do, B-Ball? Is that what you've come to? You just take one statement someone said, then make some blanket statement trying to disparage and insult the server?
I've been listening the entire time, and he was interrupted several times.
Okay, you just interrupted me, so I'll mute you then forever. Is that what you'd like?
Oh,
it's because somebody didn't mute someone instantly while there was a few people speaking at once. You're going to insult the whole server while you interrupted me.
Like a fair platform, though.
I think this is probably one of the fairest platforms there is.
It's the
Especially
fairest.
stuff backwards.
I'll make a statement. It's the fairest one that exists on Earth. Find me a better
Really?
one. Yes, the fairest on Earth. Find me a better one, B-Ball. Tell me where it's more fair to have these
You just-
discussions. On all of Earth, on the entire Earth. Tell me where it's more fair, B-Ball.
Definitely not here.
Well, go ahead. Tell me where it is. Tell me where it's more fair. We have 3,064. We have
you asked me a
3,000. Hold on.
question,
We have
Just ask me a question,
3,000.
interrupted
We
me.
have 3,064 live streams of 12-hour live streams, somewhere between 25 to 30,000 hours of the most fair discussions that has ever existed on this Earth. In these discussions, could you show me one that's more fair that has 25
How
to
many
30,000 hours?
Globers? How many Globers have been banned in the past week?
No one.
That's a lie.
0. Now you're bearing false witness. 0. The audit logs prove
Why
that.
is it that there's like a dog pile every time a Glober gets in here, and then he mentions something about a cabinet experiment? The first thing someone says, "Oh, let's ban him. Let's ban him."
I
Is
can
that
feel
what
that
you
way. So what? What if I feel that way?
Somebody said
And you
a
know what
phrase. What, somebody said a phrase. You think he represents the server? Is he a moderator, B-Ball? Is he the owner of the server, B-Ball? Does he have any control
he's
over the
not.
server, B-Ball? So
No,
why
he's
are you
not.
making assumptions about moderation actions based on
Because
one
I
person
see
making
it
a
all the
statement?
time. I see it all the time. People get
Yeah,
banned
people get moderated when
all
they
the
do
time.
all
For
kinds
what?
of disruptive
For no
stuff.
reason-
That's
for
what
no
happens. Yes, people, no matter what their cosmology is, get moderated when they do all kinds of disruptive things.
This guy's
That's what
trolling.
happens.
But it's okay for flat earthers to post memes that are degrading to the Globers and all that. It's
Now you're
okay
just-
for that stuff to happen.
Someone, okay. Can we get on a topic?
Please.
Yeah, do you mind? I actually kind of wanted to continue that point that Timer had. Yeah, I think it's a fairly valid point. That I think what he's asking for, and if I can make an analogy, the final experiment. Like if somebody said that was not a valid experiment, that something was a hoax about it, it's not good enough to say that it was a hoax, right? You'd have to come up with an explanation for what actually happened. So you could take the known facts that you have, like where they live streamed from, and construct an alternative timeline, hypothesizing that it was faked, and then go out and try to discover new facts about what actually happened. And then that would lend credence to your idea that was a hoax. So like you'd have to go the extra step of finding something in the real world that contradicts the
Please allow me to
hypothesis.
respond.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm saying.
Allow me to respond. The guy that just said the experiment or whatever is fake. I just want you to tell everybody what an experiment is.
I mean, an experiment could be anything you want it to be, right?
Yeah, hypothesis, and then it could be an observation, it could be a lab experiment, it could be uncontrolled, but something out in the real world that can confirm or disconfirm your hypothesis.
But you didn't actually give me a true definition of an experiment, but thank you.
Yeah, I mean, listen, an experiment is there to test, just test your hypothesis and your theories, right? That's what it is. So this is where you have your independent variables, your control variables, dependent variables. These are where you have all those things, and then so you can test your hypothesis. Like for example, the Cavendish experiment has all of those elements, right? So I have a hypothesis that mass does attract mass, right? And therefore, what you do is you isolate the downward pull, right, by balancing the torsion rod. So therefore, the only way the masses can move is laterally. And so the Cavendish experiment, right? So the hypothesis, that is all built into the hypothesis. So when you put the mass there, the masses on the torsion rod, it did indeed move laterally, and they move laterally at a constant, right? The 6.6 times 10 to the minus 11, which I measured myself. I came very close to that value with different mass. I did lead, I did iron, we did all kinds of different masses, and that attraction rate was there. And we accounted for electrostatics, we accounted for electromagnetism. We did all of those things, right? We had to sanitize the environment as much as possible. So yes, mass is causing a displacement. Thank you.
I'm still waiting for this unique opinion or something that you were going to give us.
Well, what if the final experiment was called the final game? Would we be crying about it because it was a final game and it didn't actually play a game?
You realize a name is just a name, right? If they could have named it the unicorn butthole, wouldn't really matter, right?
This is true. Absolutely.
It's so simple. The Cavendish experiment doesn't measure gravity, but it interprets presumed phenomena through pre-constructed mathematical belief systems. Like, what fantasy do you think you actually measured? What you measure is so minuscule compared to thermal, vibrational, and electrostatic noise that, like, it's just lost in the sauce, and that's what you hide over Earth.
Cave, right to finish. Cave.
Yeah, what I suggest.
Tiny is a completion.
No, I suggest folks run the Cavendish experiment themselves. Electrostatics is not it, because no matter what charge something has, it goes to the ground. If it's negative, it goes. If it's positive, it goes. If it's neutral, it goes. No matter what it is. So that's what we're trying to tell you, that there is another effect that is going on. There's a byproduct of mass, and that's called the gravitational pull. We can detect gravitational waves, right? That's correct.
What's the mechanism? What's making these things go together in your Cavendish?
You know what this really is? It's really a trickster or a magician on a stage performing a trick, really, 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 really wanting you to be deceived. And the more you can speak about it, the more the deception is being at play.
Okay, brother, I'm just giving you the evidence. That's all I'm doing. There's no trick. It's for example, when we told many flat earthers that there was a 24-hour sun at Antarctica, many of them said the same thing. They said, "Oh, you guys are liars. You're tricksters. It's all CGI. All this kind of nonsense. You can't go to Antarctica." Admiral Byrd, the 60th parallel, all of these things. We're like, guys, no, these are not true. Go to Antarctica. You will see the 24-hour sun. They did. right? So I'm just giving you facts. That's it. I'm not tricking you. I don't do feelings. You understand me? The only feelings I do, I'm a Christian. I do have feelings.
Your attitude and intonation reeks disingenuousness. Disingenuity. Do you get it?
Wait. How did you make that determination? I'm giving you just facts. That's it.
No, you just believe everything the government says.
Brother, I'm very
There's
friendly.
no point in talking to you if you just defend the government narrative on everything.
What?
There's no point talking to you.
I do not
You realize
defend
that,
the
right?
government narrative on everything. Who said that?
Okay,
Those are your words.
What conspiracy do you believe in?
Those are your words.
Okay, what has the government lied about then?
Okay, like Doge is lying that USAID was wasting your money. That's a lie. The government, the people in government, Donald Trump and all those people told you there was a deep state. There was none.
We can hear
there was none.
Stressed in your voice. You think that can't be discerned through intonation?
I hear the same thing in your voice. I
So
hear
the government-
hostility. I hear
The government
hostility.
can't waste money. Like it's impossible.
Of course,
for,
I hear hostility in your voice.
Of course, I'm hostile towards what is attempting to deceive.
So no. I hear deception in your voice as well because you want to turn me off so you can go back to a deceptive talking point. That's what I hear. That's what I hear from you. I want you to know that, and I detect it. And you're
simply hearing my frustration with you continuing with a lie that you might as well be quite unconscious of.
What lie?
He's trying to deceive the child.
Right. Once you're going to see, I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. Once I leave here, you will go back into a narrative of don't trust the experts. Don't trust the. That's what. See, you want to turn off somebody who's speaking.
Do you believe? Hey guys, we're going to start a new conversation. Go ahead. Someone bring up a topic that's of value. Go ahead, Bird Rising.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a topic, but
Don't trust the expert, guys. Don't.
You can mute me, Gio. Gio, you can mute me, but I can come through other people's voices. You know.
You're not evil, man.
But we are just over it all.
I always trust my general, right? My general says, go defend this place. I will. No questions asked.
So I think just for the sake of it, we should talk on a topic that's about not trusting experts and why we don't. So we can actually have an educational conversation on why some experts aren't to be trusted.
Here's a question. Could experts be falsified to sway the narrative?
Well, that's one question. And I guess another one is, what's really an expert? And who do we value as an expert?
I'd say an expert is somebody that has a large breadth of knowledge and experience in a given field. And I think that it's probable that you can get experts to sway their opinion into unfactuality or distortion of the truth. But I think it's very unlikely that you can convince the majority of experts to do such a thing.
Well, if a specific science is itself, you see, we know that geniusness, or a person of genius, isn't the majority of the society. That's even the traditional notion. Go read a textbook, you'll have Isaac Newton, this man, that man, some woman here and there.
Come on. What are you doing? Trying to watch the game, but my screen's busted. You should go to T-Mobile. You can trade in a...
Welcome back. This next act needs no introduction.
By the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
How?
Star and then getting the GP.
Within what we could refer to as...
And then I see the blue roof outside.
We disagree on this?
You just adhere to one specific.
Right.
This is true. Absolutely.
And then move laterally.
Right.
This is true. Absolutely.
Thing in your voice. I
So the
hear
government-
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a topic, but
Don't trust the expert, guys. Don't.
You can mute me, Gio. Gio, you can mute me, but I can come through other people's voices. You know.
You're not evil, man.
But we are just over it all.
I always trust my general.
Perfect.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a topic, but
Don't trust the expert, guys. Don't.
You can mute me,
do it.
Gio. Gio, you can mute me, but I can come through other people's voices. You know.
You're not evil, man.
But we are just over it all.
I always trust my general, right? My general says, go defend this place. I will. No questions asked.
So I think just for the sake of it, we should talk on a topic that's about not trusting experts and why we don't. So we can actually have an educational conversation on why
Here's
some
a
experts
question.
aren't to be trusted.
Here's a question. Could experts be falsified to sway the narrative?
Well, that's one question, and I guess another one is, what's really an expert? And who do we value as an expert?
I'd say an expert, somebody that has a large breadth of knowledge and experience in a given field. And I think that it's probable that you can get experts to sway their opinion into unfactuality or distortion of the truth. But I think it's I think it's very unlikely that you can convince the majority of experts to do such a thing.
Well, if a specific science is itself, you see, we know that geniusness, or well, a person of genius, isn't the majority of the society. That's even the traditional notion. Go read a textbook, you'll have Isaac Newton, this man, that man, some woman here and there. They are, esteemed geniuses, supposed experts within a theory or a field of science. And then you can have an entire enterprise built upon said genius. Now, everyone who is conditioning themselves to think like this one person who created a theory from which birthed a scientific field doesn't necessarily have to even know what the genius is talking about, or well, the alleged genius. It doesn't mean that all of these people who now, in our time, who are able-bodied to recite and well regurgitate the ideas of the genius, we call them experts. Doesn't mean that they're actually experts of anything other than well recital and performance and display, meaning they're professional actors, really. And that's just common sense.
So if you don't mind, just because I think I can make a good analogy for you, what line of work are you in?
Oh, I don't want to make this about me.
Just make let's just say you're a bricklayer, right? Hypothetically. Let's say you're a bricklayer and you go out, you do it all the time. You know how it's done. You know how to do it quickly. And you got somebody else sitting on the sidelines, never laid a brick in his life. And he's telling you, no, that's not how you're doing. That's not how you're supposed to do it. You're wasting so much time doing this shit. Why would you mortar it like that? That's way too much. Your mortar mix is too thick. You need to be putting it in thinner. Why are you doing it like that? It makes no sense to me that a layperson that does not have experience doing these things can come in and say, no, you know what, you don't actually understand the fundamentals of what you're talking about. And I think the biggest thing that I would say you're misunderstanding is these people are looking at their idol and just following what their idol said. Where like Sir Isaac Newton did a lot of great things, but he was like he also was an alchemist, and he thought that you could turn lead into gold. And nobody in physics thinks you can do that except for in a star. Like like on this planet, it's practically impossible. So the way that they come to become experts in the field is actually practicing in the field, applying the physics, applying the chemistry, and seeing if these ideas are actually valid.
Sure, but this is a topic we usually come to, and I'll just point out again, which is a science can be made to self-evidently point out its own logic, meaning that the scientist, well, the performer of the science, is just conditioned to like hit play and see the logic of the concept being expressed. Meaning he's just simply, well, if math is now example of this, He's just giving the answer to the code that is scripted 1 + 1. So the scientist is replicating the self-evident logic that the system is built upon. And he is #finding the answer, which is already pre-scripted. It's foretold. So he's not doing anything else than demonstrating the unfalsifiable logic which the system is built upon. So which one is it?
Well, I would disagree with that characterization. So something like math, like we have to have math in science, and it's not because like we can make it do whatever we want. You certainly can. Like you can spell any sentence you want, but it doesn't necessarily make sense. So like in high school physics, you can figure out how to sum vectors where you take three, like it's a 20 gram mass, a 30 gram mass, and a 50 gram mass, and you can actually calculate to see what angles you need off of each other to like hang them off of a nail head, and they'll actually balance on the top of the nail head instead of one falling down and pulling the rest with it. So there are real world applications that demonstrate that the syntax of the mathematics is factually correct in the real world. You always need that real world verification, or else you are prone to this dogmatic version of science that you're talking about.
I'm so glad you mentioned the syntax of math, and now I can give you a case scenario of how it's flawed in its base. And everyone who learns math is actually disillusioning themselves with illogical propositions, which is very simply the fact that the symbol that you give after an equation, the equator, well, what do we call it even? The equal
sign.
Yes. It means is similar or is like. It does not mean is. So when you have 1 + 1 = 2, it doesn't say is 2. It says is like 2. So actually, every sum that you have is not an actual sum. It's an illusion of the actual sum.
I mean, it equates to 2. 2 also equals 3 - 1. These are equal values. I don't understand what you mean.
In Norwegian, the equal symbol simply means is like, but not is.
That's incorrect. 2 parallel and math is equal to.
Your microphone is very flawed, those 10.
Equals,
I can't do it real well.
equal signs or the two parallel lines is the exact same. It means exactly the same. 2 parallel lines in math.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd like, even if in Norwegian the symbol of 2 parallel lines means is, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, you can have different symbols in math than in the English, or than in the base language that you're enunciating it in. Like, that doesn't invalidate if you have one object and then another object next to each other. That's actually 2 objects. I don't see why the equal signs would invalidate that.
Because in math you have 2 + 2 on one side and then let's say 4 on the other side. It says equates to. So the sum is on both sides.
1 + 1 = 2. Which also equals 3 - Do you ever get like your bar tab and you're like, you know what? These numbers.
2 equals 1 + 1.
I'm just gonna put down $2,000.
Okay, calm down for a second.
Yes, sir.
The sum is displayed on both sides. It's just performed differently. Like you have different signage to each of them. So the equate symbol just shows that the same. It's a mirror. It shows just a different presentation of the same on each side. So let's say on one side you have 4, and on the other you have 2 + 2. It's the same thing. But the symbol actually gives a flawed logic. Because it says sameness and not is. Which is actually correct, but this is where it gets hard for a child to teach math, because in the beginning they are taught that the symbol means is or sum. And then suddenly they need like two lines under the sum even. So what
Are
is
you
it? Are
saying?
math teachers now disillusioned of how to actually teach math because they don't actually know what it is, or what's going on?
Are you saying, like, let me try to clarify your position, because this is bizarre, in my opinion. Are you saying that 1 plus 1 does not equal 2? That these things are not equal? They don't mean the same thing?
Depends on your lens of interpretation. Obviously, 1 plus 1 isn't the same as 2. 1 is 1 and 2 is 2. But then you have a symbol between them that puts them together.
If you combine 2 ones together, that would be 2, correct?
Or it could
2
be 1
ones
point,
together are 2 ones
or it could
together,
be
and
1.9, or it could be 1.9 repeating.
but that's actually a flaw, because 2 ones together are simply 2 ones together, and 2 is 2.
11, bro.
2 ones separately mean the same thing as a 2. Do we disagree on this?
Yes, because in the first statement you said 2 ones separately, and in the second you said 2.
Yeah, 2 individual ones are the same as a 2. You're saying that these are just concepts. These are just ideas.
But they aren't.
It's a
They
language.
are individual.
Yes, of
but
course they are ideas.
If you put them together, they are.
Either way, they're just ideas. A 1 is just an idea. There's no like Platistic 1 somewhere out there in the universe.
You see, when you create the two individuals into a signifier of 2, you conflate them, meaning you remove the identity of each, and you have a new identity for both that encapsulates them.
All right, so what can, like, let me just say, let's play out the hypothetical. Let's say I grant you your hypothesis is correct. What do you do from there? How do you go to demonstrate that your idea is correct?
Oh, not my hypothesis, my logic.
It's a hypothesis, but let's say that your logic is correct. How do you demonstrate it in the real world that it is in fact a fact of reality?
Well, if you have your brothers and sister next to each other, are they now both one entity? Because you
Well,
put
if
them
they're one
together and
entity,
call
then
them
that
2.
would be 1.
But if you put them together and call them 2, are they now
If you
merged
smash
into
them together into one body, then they would be 1. But if they are 2 separate things, and you counted 1, 2, they would be 2.
or you counted 1 twice, 1 1, because they're 2 unique individuals?
Maybe it would work better. Maybe this is a better way that I granted, this is your explanation, but let's use sand. You have 1 pound of sand and then another single pound of sand. You put them together, you have 2 pounds of sand.
Why is just not
Right?
2 individuals already very simple?
Because you would waste a ton of time if you have 50 pounds of sand saying, I have 1 pounds of sand. It's a convenience. It's a invented thing that we put into our language to make it easier.
It sure is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You wouldn't want to get your bar tab like that. That'd be obnoxious.
So what do you
So,
think an
like-
expert in math is?
A mathematician? They can do all those party tricks?
Are they an expert, or are they simply someone who is well trained at reciting some ideas?
I would say they're experts. Most of them can do incredibly complicated maths in their head without a calculator, although I don't think that's necessarily a requirement of being a mathematician. It's more about like doing long form, I don't know the proper terminology, doing hugely complicated formulas.
Isn't that like the same as an actor who has trained a text for a theater play that they have rehearsed and know by, you know?
No, I would super disagree, because just like how you can take 1 pound of sand and put another pound of sand on that scale and have 2 pounds of sand to demonstrate 1 + 1 does in fact equal 2, you can take these mathematical models, run the calculation to make a prediction, and then go out in the real world and confirm. You always need that go out into the real world and confirm that mathematics are correct. Like the Pythagorean theorem.